Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. And keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as, investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy. Alright folks, here we are on Tuesday, January 2nd. We're going to take a look at Chargepoint today. So I had a comment, somebody was looking for an update. So I came and looked at the chart. Now, I guess the main gist of it is Chargepoint has done the most unsurprising thing since we were last here. So quick recap, there was this gap here. It had been caught under this downtrend resistance and was making a break from that downtrend resistance. Basically at that point we said, here's the big selling area. Here's the area where if it reaches up there, history has shown that sellers are going to want to sell at that level. And so if it's going to have any really sustained momentum, that's going to look like recovery-ish and not just another push and a drawback, then it's going to have to basically get through that wall, that selling wall, if you will. And so it did exactly that. It came up, it filled this gap, right? This gap ended at 303. It had entered it at about 219, came up to that sell wall, and just couldn't even push through it at all, couldn't even muster what it had done back here. So effectively showing less buying pressure in that area, and I don't know if there was more selling pressure, but it at least overcame whatever buying pressure there was, more so than it had over here. So at this point it's coming back down now. The only sort of interesting thing that's happening at the moment is that it's putting in this previous gap level, that where it entered the gap, it's now trying to hold that as support, right? It did that here as it was just getting into the gap. I don't know if that will continue to play out today, but I'll keep it like that for now. This gap is filled, so I'm just going to turn this back to a resistance level. And you know, the only other thing to make note of is, if I get rid of this, and then we will flip over to the Think or Swim study to take a look there. So it had hopped over the 34, had got a bullish crossover here on the EMAs, and it couldn't muster the strength to get that 8 EMA above the 34 EMA, a bullish crossover there. It didn't even really come that close, as you see. Now today, it's throwing a bearish crossover with the 8 crossing back below the 21 and the 8 were both already below the 34. So if this persists today and into tomorrow, that means your EMAs are going to be once again in a fully bearish formation like they have been for a very long time. You see no crossover here. This was the first crossover. That was why it was initially semi-interesting. I mean, you look at how long it had been. It was like back here. This was in July of 2023, where it had ever so briefly had a bullish crossover, and then it just, ever since then, you see these EMAs just staying stacked one below the other in a bearish formation. And then here we got that move mid-December, but it didn't hold long, sort of echoing the situation that was up here, right? It didn't hold long. It tried, it basically double dipped it, and again had a swing high quite a bit lower than the previous swing high, and then it just stacked it and pushed it down further. So I don't know if this is going to be exactly that, but I mean, you look here, it swung high here, swung to a lower high here, and there goes the bearish crossover back again. So, you know, this isn't meant to be like a bear fest for Chargepoint, but this is just, the chart to me is not looking, you know, that promising at the moment. Now, I will mention there is this gap way up at 633 through 704. I mean, it's, you know, to approach that, it's going to take, I think, some intense bullish catalysts. But I mean, you look at how long and how far distressed this stock is. And so, so again, it's not me trying to be super bearish on Chargepoint. It's just me saying stocks that are under such long-term distress, it takes a lot for those stocks to neutralize the downtrend, just stabilize it, just stop the bleeding, much less the immense effort that it takes to reverse the trend and have something that looks like a recovery. If we zoom out to the weekly here, I mean, you can see what a recovery would have to look like. I mean, recovery to where? Is the question. What do you count as a recovery? Filling that gap? That still gets you below the bulk of the price action for basically all time. Does it look like up here in the 20s? Maybe you could make a case for that or something, but I mean, you're 10xing the price at that point. So these are just sort of the questions that I have, what folks are looking for. If you're looking for something more short term, then that's exactly what this play out was. It was, we had identified the gap in the downtrend. It broke out of the downtrend. It filled the gap, came into the sell wall that we had on the chart at that point, couldn't push through it, sold off. So it's done the most unshocking thing that you could imagine on this most recent move. Now, if we flip over here to the think or swim study, I'm going to pull in this section here. You see back here we had a trigger and fire, and then a re-trigger and a refire, and that fire is still playing out. So we're still on the immense sort of downward pressure that trigger and fire brought about. And that took it, on the re-trigger and the refire, took it from about 7s all the way down to 1s, the high 1s. So quite a play out there. Now we zoom in a little closer. Again, we can see, this is nauseatingly close. So if we come in here, we can see, fell out of the bottom of the channel for a long time, made its way back to the mid-range, which is what we always look for. Something's out of the channel to the top side or to the downside. We look for it to come back and retest the mid-range at some point. Did that, and that's where it just gapped down, back out of the channel. So just crazy, move there. Back in to the mid-range, actually pressed the upper bound, and now the problem is it's retested the mid-range, which is fine, but now it's losing the support of the mid-range, right? It was trying to pin itself to the mid-range here, lost it a little bit on the last trading day before today. I guess that was Friday, and then pushing down even further at the moment. Now, can it catch support on this lower mid-range of the channel? Maybe. We'll have to wait and see. But history has not been nice to old Chargepoint, so we'll see what happens. This has the bullish momentum also sort of dying down, toward the baseline here. So, just not a lot looking positive for Chargepoint at the moment, in my estimation. But who knows? There could be something comes up, some news item, some catalyst that's just, we wouldn't be privy to, of course, and that could throw the EMAs and the channel setup and everything all a kilter, because there's just this, enormous catalyst that changes the game essentially. So could it happen? Sure, but just based on the setup and where it's located, the motion in the channel, the histogram, TTM squeeze indicator, the sell wall that it found unpenetrable, which at this point is now quite far away, and just trying to find support back here in the gap fill region. Not a lot to feel super positive about at the moment, based on those things, in my opinion. All right, there you go. So there's your update on Chargepoint. All right, folks, I hope that your trading week is off to a good start. And as always, I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.